How's it going? Thank you for the opportunity, Sal. Appreciate it. So, 74% of Americans don't volunteer. And when you look at why, we work 60 hours a week. We have kids, we have errands, we have the stress of everyday life. And when you have all that going on, it's really hard to find 4 hours or 6 hours to go down to an on-site location and volunteer. And nonprofit organizations don't make this job much easier. When you say, I need your help, a nonprofit, they get all these people to raise their hand, say, I want to get involved. But to sort through all those people and find those folks who can actually provide value to the nonprofit as an organization, they make people jump through hoops to really show who's committed to the idea of helping and who can provide the most value to our organization. And in the process, they actually make it hard for people who are busy, who are arguably also the most talented people, to actually get involved, because people who work a full-time job just don't have the kind of time that nonprofits need in order to get involved. And so you have applications, interviews, training, several hours and more, long-term commitments. This is my week. I'm sure a lot of people in the room here have a similar calendar. Where am I supposed to fit 4 to 6 hours in, or maybe even an entire day to get out and volunteer? I just don't have that kind of time. So when you ask people why they don't volunteer, the number one reason people say is that they're just too busy. Okay, maybe, but wait a second. We spend 24 million hours playing solitaire. We spend 388 million hours using Facebook, and we watch 2 billion videos on YouTube every single day. Every single day. Okay? So I want to kind of break this down and explain it in a way that makes sense, because these are really big numbers. Let's take the Empire State Building. The Empire State Building took 7 million hours of labor and 540 days to build. Comparing that to just the amount of time we spend on Facebook, we could build 55 Empire State Buildings every single day. Okay. This is the kind of human energy that we're talking about. Every single day passing through the web with just the amount of time we spend on Facebook. Now, our friend Clay Shirky tells us that there's actually 1 trillion hours of cognitive surplus out there, of participatory value up for grabs. And my organization is built around answering this question: how can we harness some of that spare time to help nonprofits increase capacity? So I'm going to talk to you today about how we're working to reimagine volunteerism and what we've done to create the field, what we call micro-volunteering. So first point I want to make, and this is just a really big one that I think a lot of people in here will understand, is that crowdsourcing has a huge potential for social impact. We have reCAPTCHA, which is digitizing the world's books, Wikipedia, Galaxy Zoo, which is using everyday people to help explore outer space, Innocentive. Crowdsourcing for social impact works. It's a fact. Okay? The second point I want to make is that this is our team of folks. Real quick, right there in the middle with the brown shirt, that's Ben Rigby. Much of what we're doing came out of a book chapter he wrote in 2007. And over the last 2 years, we've been working to experiment on micro-volunteers. And we built an iPhone app to see how we could use people's spare time when they're standing in line at Starbucks. We built a website where people can get involved there. And our latest product is actually called Sparked, which I'm going to get into a little bit later. It's a very interesting approach to how people are using skills-based engagement. So our early work was really quite interesting and exciting stuff. We built a crowdsourced mapping platform that nonprofits could use. You could map defibrillators, play spaces, pollution, anything you can think of where your supporters could help you get involved and help you build a crowdsourced map. We also worked with the Smithsonian Library of Congress through the Flickr Commons library on Flickr Commons and helped to add tags to their photos to make them more searchable and more accessible by simply using the human eye to describe what you see and therefore making those photos more accessible to the general public. And then one of our most exciting examples was what we were able to do during the Haiti earthquake. So the earthquake was just complete devastation. There was no communication coming out of Haiti. And you had tens of thousands of family members uploading photos of missing persons, people that missing my cousin, my aunt, my daughter, my niece, my nephew. We also had tens of thousands of photos taken by news agency photographers and everyday people being uploaded to Flickr coming out of Haiti. And so what we did is we built a system where people could literally just compare faces and say, do you see this person's face in this photograph? Yes or no? We had over 100,000 people log in from around the world to help sort through photos and look for missing persons on our system. And some of the results we were able to deliver, here's an example. This is Mama Lupin. She was a 90-year-old woman who, this is her missing persons photograph that her family uploaded. And this is an image of a news agency photographer, an AFP photographer took this photograph, and one of our micro-volunteers found it. It's a little bit dark in here, so you can't really see the screen. But this is an example of what we would use crowdsourced micro-volunteers to do during the Haiti earthquake. And so where we're headed is pretty interesting. So we spent 2 years learning and talking, and what it really came down to is, image tagging and mapping, and a lot of that stuff is very interesting and exciting to us. But as far as useful for the nonprofit, they really need help with marketing, with fundraising, with more skills-based tasks. But the problem is that, again, for busy people who have that skill set, it's really hard to get engaged. So these are the challenges that nonprofits face. They, like any business, struggle with branding, with fundraising, with marketing, with technology, with capacity building. And so what we did is we built a system that allows them to post a challenge, a discrete chunk of work. I need 500 words translated into Spanish. I need help with marketing, a tagline or whatnot. And they are able to build relationships with volunteers online and do that. And skilled employees from some of the world's best companies log in and share their talent from what they do every day for the world's biggest brands to help nonprofits get work done. So we've teamed up with Kraft Foods, Google just came on board, and we're starting to work to bring big corporations with tons of talent on board so that they can help their nonprofits get involved. Real quick, just why do corporations want to do this? Well, there's real business value from them. I'm not going to get into all of this, but there's real benefit from engaging with the community. 92% of people would choose one brand over another based on how valuable they are and how responsible they are as a company and how much they've tied their brand to social good. There's a ton of social benefits that come, of real business benefits that come from this. So we want to get into some examples of the newer stuff that we've been able to do. The SETI Institute has a lot of scientists that speak in science speak. And for your average everyday social media user who doesn't have a PhD, it's sometimes hard to understand them. So SETI very easily, very quickly posted a challenge on our system, which was routed to people that had marketing expertise. And they literally took a few minutes out of their day and helped SETI dial down 2 pages of science speak into something that is manageable and understandable. A couple other examples. First Aid Corps, we mentioned them earlier when we were talking about defibrillators. They're a nonprofit who wanted to design some buttons, some badges for volunteers who they're working with. And they posted this on our system. Graphic designers took 5 or 10 minutes out of their day and offered a few different options up to First Aid Corps. And these are actual badges that those graphic designers did in 5 minutes of their time. And that saved First Aid Corps several $100 or maybe even several thousand if they had gone out and hired a graphic designer to do this. And these are people who were working in major corporations who just would love to be able to use their professional skills and be able to do that. This is one of my favorite examples, although it's a bit obscure. This is Jackson, right in the middle here. Jackson is a Maasai warrior in Amboseli, Kenya. And through an NGO we're working with out there, he posted a challenge on our system and said, you know what, I'd love to put a well in my village. The women in my village have to walk 17 kilometers a day to get water. And the children in my village also have to do that. And we'd love to put a well in our village so we don't have to do this. So this was routed to somebody in San Francisco who had third world water expertise, who actually listed out a few resources which were 20 or 30 miles away from Jackson in Kenya about what he could do. Actual NGOs that were drilling wells out there who actually had Maasai warriors as part of the drill team. So what's really interesting is that Jackson posted a challenge, went all the way around the world to San Francisco, who shared 5 minutes of expertise that came all the way back, and they're now on track to putting a well in their village from 5 minutes worth of work, okay? And if you think about it, if you don't have to walk 17 kilometers a day to go get water, you can do more things like study, or make your life better. And this all comes from 5 minutes of expertise. Another example is Room to Read. They are launching a children's book, Zach the Yak, and wanted to build a game around it. And so they posted a challenge on our system, and parents from all over the country came together and offered up ideas and brainstorms. And these are people who happen to work for major corporations and have product design expertise. And so this is the kind of human energy that we're talking about, and what's focused around skills. And so everyday people can actually use their talents, the things that they've built 10 years of expertise around, in small chunks to help nonprofits get work done. And so that, it's really very, very simple. We focus on skills-based engagement, things that you can do online in a few minutes of spare time. And okay, this is the new system. Just wanted to give you guys a sneak peek before it goes live in 2 weeks. It's free for nonprofits, and we're working really hard to try and get more talented people in the system to help solve problems. We have hundreds and hundreds of challenges that are open right now from nonprofits all over the world, and you can actually help in 5, 10, 20 minutes of your time. And this is where we're headed right now. We're moving in this direction and working to get a lot more people involved. And that is that. So, yeah.